Very well, we now clearly understand each character's identity and their respective roles. Now we aim to characterize each character's speech patterns by collecting specific phrases and references unique to them. This process establishes a theoretical foundation for understanding their roles in upcoming dialogues, ensuring consistency and depth in their interactions. When I gather phrases and references for my works, I avoid using a computer file. Instead, I prefer a more tangible method. To maintain focus, I ensure that all items are visible as I write without needing to constantly switch between my work and reference materials, thus keeping the entire collection within view to avoid interruptions. This approach minimizes disruptions to my writing process. By creating a chart and placing it near my computer, I can seamlessly integrate the collected phrases into my writing. A quick glance up allows me to see all the elements I've organized, making it simpler to incorporate them into the dialogues without breaking my flow. Our aim is for characters to do more than just transition between events in dialogues. We want them to reveal a bit of their perspective on the world to us. Let's begin with Gabriela. As mentioned, she's 35 and works as a news anchor. Additionally, she frequently reprimands Brenda in their relationship, which adds an interesting dynamic to their interactions, using her role as the older sister. Additionally, I'll give Gabriela phrases from a YouTuber named Ter, enhancing her character's dialogue and depth. Ter is Spanish. I'm not interested in making Gabriela's character Spanish. I just use these phrases because I'm very familiar with this YouTuber's way of speaking. The phrases I'm going to lend her are, "It makes me very excited. Do you know what I'm saying?" And well. I'll attempt to incorporate these phrases into Gabriela's dialogues, enhancing her character's interactions. Next is Brenda, a 30-year-old who co-owns a hostel. Her lifestyle involves traveling for several months each year, while the remaining time is dedicated to managing the hostel. This is why she has a keen interest in travel. I suspect Brenda is fluent in multiple languages. Currently, I'm unsure how to incorporate this into the dialogues, but I'll seek an opportunity to do so. She resides in San Luis Potosí, which is another detail I can use to enhance her character's linguistic background. This could add depth to her role in the story. I researched some phrases from San Luis Potosí, but none seemed relevant to the story. However, the chocolates from that city appeared quite useful. They could add an interesting element to the narrative. And finally, I'm going to lend Brenda some phrases from a friend of mine. The phrases are, "She told me a bunch of things and I know it sounds horrible." Using phrases from others can greatly help our characters speak in unique ways, adding depth and variety to their dialogue. If I only use the phrases I say, it's quite likely the characters would repeat them, and it would be noticeable that they are the author's phrases. 2 or 3 phrases can be enough to characterize your characters. If you utilize the reference voices provided for constructing all your characters' dialogue, this aids in maintaining distinction. Visualizing the text through a specific vocal persona imbues it with unique rhythm and assists in discovering alternative expressions for conveying similar ideas. Lastly, let's move on to Irene. Irene, a 45-year-old painter, will be explored through the use of colors as a semantic field. The aim is to craft metaphors and analogies that reflect her character. This approach will help in creating a unique voice and perspective for Irene. Incorporate colors. Lastly, rather than borrowing others' expressions, Irene will articulate her thoughts using her own unique sayings. Now we have the relationship between the characters, the information they will handle, both from their lives and their way of speaking, and the situation in which they will say the dialogues. In my story, I will work with a colloquial way of speaking. I will imitate the way we speak in real life. When we tell a story through the voices of the characters, we need to have certain areas clear before starting to write. At this point, I already have a clear understanding of the dia itadila, expanding on the relationship dynamics among the characters and how these interactions will unfold throughout the story. Additionally, I collected insights into their personal backgrounds and linguistic styles. On the timeline, specific points for dialogue scenes were noted to ensure a cohesive narrative flow, so that these characters have meaningful conversations and express distinct emotions to each other. In my conversations, I'll use everyday language, trying to mimic how we naturally talk. If you want your characters to speak in a way that isn't realistic, I suggest ensuring that the logic within that language remains consistent. This approach helps maintain authenticity even when the dialogue diverges from typical speech patterns. In the upcoming lesson, I'll craft the first dialogue, focusing on exploring the characters' hierarchy and dynamics through their interactions.